Today, I want to talk to you guys about Diablo 4, Diablo 4's future. This is essentially a Diablo 4 review from a very long time MMORPG gamer. Now, I am also a variety gamer. I play all games, every game, shooting games, puzzle games. It doesn't matter. I play all of them, RTSs. But primarily, this YouTube channel is for MMORPG games, and so I'll be talking mostly from that perspective. Now, to better understand this review, before we get started, I have to talk about a few things. I have to talk about why people play video games, and then why I specifically play video games. Just so you know where I'm coming from. Alright, so why do people play video games? They do it to be good at the game or the best. They care about their rank, they play the ranked mode, they try to be as good as possible at the video game, they want to get a high score, be it maybe their gear score, or, some sort of, oh, I've killed 10,000 players, or whatever it may be. Maybe it's to get rich in the game. They want to have lots of virtual currency or wealth. They want to compare themselves to others and how much better they are than other people at the video game. Oh, I can beat it in 5 minutes. You can only beat it in 6. Well, I'm better than you, haha. Oh, I'm a higher level than you. Oh, my gear's better than you, etc. They want to be able to mesh or to belong to a group or feel part of something greater as a whole. This is why people join guilds, or they follow the meta, or they join little discords where they can play with each other. And people also like to flex on others because, maybe they have, like, someone they're flexing on has less time in the game to grind, less knowledge of the game, and they're like, oh, I know the best builds, I know the best way to do this, so on and so forth. They either do it because everyone else is doing it. I mean, imagine, if Diablo 4 was an indie game that barely anyone knew about, there was no advertising, there was no commercials for the game. It wasn't made by Blizzard. It was just made by like 30 people in their basements, in the middle of Finland or something. Would people really be playing this game? I don't think as many people would. And also, to just fit in. They just want to fit in and feel part of something. Now let's talk about why I play video games. To create an everlasting memory, something that you can take with you when the game servers are offline, no one's playing anymore. What is your takeaway from that game? Well, when I look back at my past in my younger years, I played a lot of video games. I played like every video game ever, and maybe they had a cool story, maybe they had an okay story, who cares, but like multiplayer games, what do I have to take away from that? Almost nothing. So my goal, now that I'm older, is I want to create memories. I want to have something to take away from that game. Something 10 years later that people will remember, or that I will remember fondly. Next up is to express creativity, which Diablo 4 doesn't really have a lot of because it limits how you can play. And finally, I am inflicted with sadism, which means I get pleasure in the suffering of others. This means that if I'm on the subway and someone's getting chased by a hoodlum, that's amusing to me. It makes me smile. The best outlet for me to experience or feed the sadism is through video games. This would be like ganking a low-level quest zone in World of Warcraft, or having a severe gear and level advantage in an MMORPG, and going into a newbie zone and causing complete terror and havoc. That makes me happy, that makes me smile, and so that's why I play video games. Also, during this review, I will be comparing it to other games within and outside of the niche of, top-down or RPG, whatever, hack and slash. Lost Ark, Diablo 2, maybe we'll talk about Diablo 3 a bit, Path of Exile, World of Warcraft, and Albion Online, because that is my primary video niche. So let's get started. Why was I excited to play Diablo 4? And before I answer that, I want to explain to you why I was excited back in the day, back in middle school, why I was excited to play Diablo 2. So here I am, I hear about Diablo 2, I read magazine articles, because, didn't have too much internet access at the time. I did, but it was kind of limited. But essentially, I heard that Diablo 2 was this game where you could kill other players, and you could take their ear. And that was really, really interesting to me. I was like, whoa! You mean I can go and level up a character in an RPG, like Final Fantasy or something, and then with that high-level character, I can go fight other people and kill them? And that just sounded like the coolest thing ever. And it was in Diablo 2, because Diablo 2 had what was called non-consensual PvP. And what that means is that if I joined anyone's game, be it a questing game, or a farming game, or a trading game, or even a duel game, it didn't matter, I could simply declare that I'm going to kill them. I can click a little hostility button, and that makes me hostile to them, and anywhere in the game, wherever they may be, except for, like, I guess Tristram or low-level games, I guess, I could simply seek them out and attack them, and they would either have to defend themselves, and if, you know, they won, cool, that makes them feel good. If they lost, that makes them feel bad, it makes me feel good. Or they leave the game, which makes me feel good. So 2 out of 3 makes me feel good. And so I am pushed in a game like Diablo 2 to get the best gear possible, to find the most efficient builds to not only level up with, farm items with, but also kill other players with. I am motivated to play this game for years and years and years because it satiates my sadism of wanting to torment and torture others. Whereas Diablo 4, let's talk about why I wanted to play Diablo 4 now. So here's why I was excited to play Diablo 4. It was said to have PvP zones. These PvP zones weren't really shown in trailers. They were kind of... people didn't really know a lot about them. So let's talk about the PvP zones now in Diablo 4 and what they really are. Here's the world map. Here's a PvP zone. Here's another PvP zone. That's it. That's all you get. You get 2 little out-of-the-way zones that almost no one goes to except groups of players, which is fine because I'm level 100 and I have a PvP build. The PvP in this game is severely unbalanced anyway. I don't really care too much about fair fights. If I truly cared about PvP, I would roll a pulverized druid, which I just might in Season 1. I just might do that. But there's really not a lot of torment when it comes to fighting other players. Because if they are also PvP flagged, they don't lose durability. Bleh, they don't lose durability. I'm not inconveniencing them in any way possible. There's just... like, you can just run up to someone and just die over and over and over, and it doesn't do anything. You don't lose time. In World of Warcraft, you would have a 3-minute corpse run. In Albion Online, you would have a 3-minute sit-down in safe zones, or you would lose all of your gear and items in your inventory. Full loot PvP for the win, am I right? In Diablo 2, you lost gold, you had to run back to your corpse or rejoin the game, which I wasn't going to let you back to your corpse. I'm not an honorable fighter. Once I kill you, you're getting camped until you leave. And I'm taking all the gold you drop and stashing it somewhere else on a random waypoint, and then I'm going to scoop it up later. So in case you do kill me back or switch characters, I'm not going to lose any gold because I've already planned for this. And so Diablo 4 doesn't have any real... it doesn't feel good to PvP. Yeah, I can spin to win, you know, use Hammer of the Ancients, use Pulverize, whatever it is, and then, you know, one-shot somebody, and then they run back in 10 seconds, and they don't lose durability or gold. They don't lose anything. Maybe a little bit of, you know, maybe a little bit of pride. That's all they really lose. But what else? Also, the beta showed that the game had potential. The beta was like, well, you get to play up to level 25 and, you know, pal around with some of the starter stuff, and it was okay because we still didn't know how the PvP zones worked. So, you know, that's what I was hyped for. I want to cause inconvenience to other gamers because, you know, growing up in the lowdown, growing up in poverty, that's just how it is. We all just inconvenience each other. We're crabs in the bucket and we pull each other down. We don't uplift each other. Also, another reason to cover Diablo 4, which is me specifically, is as a YouTuber and as someone who can't get a real job due to lack of education, lack of ability to get education. I know you don't care about this stuff, Diablo viewer, but you still have to listen to why this review is the way this is I don't have a choice. I have to play these video games, these popular games, consistently and make videos just like this, or I don't get to eat, I don't get to exist or live. And so, and I probably won't if these videos don't, you know, pick up and get kicked off and you know, go into the algorithm and get lots of views. Like some lucky suckers that got earlier beta access up to level 100. Those guys hit a jackpot. Those guys are raking in, you know, like $30,000 a month just because Blizzard decided to choose them to play their game a little bit earlier than everyone else. But whatever, I'm still going to grind away at it, and maybe I can save myself, and if not, at least I tried. Anyway, last point is that I have a huge experience in history in this type of game, especially Diablo 2, so it's a very easy game for me to just solve. I have a lot of, you know, gamer levels, so to speak, so someone that's new to video games versus someone like me, I can just pick it up and play it. It's like a master musician that tries out a different instrument. They can usually get it, you know, within a couple days. They can start playing melodies, whereas someone who's never played a musical instrument will take years to develop those skills. Now, let's talk and discuss, and you're free to argue with me in the comments. I read every single comment. I have no social life. why I am no longer really hype for this game, and I'm going to go deeper than just this. Alright, let's start talking. The PvP is utter garbage. Like I said, as a sadist, there's no reason for me to PvP at all. There's no rewards for PvP, you don't get anything for PvP, and you may be thinking, man, this is for the inexperienced. If you're in a PvP zone, and you get a 100 of those, like, if you get enough kills, you get marked on the map, and you get a special reward. You know what the special reward is when you're in the PvP zones and you have that 100 out of 100, like, hatred or whatever it is? You can no longer use the little, turn-in stations for red dust. Instead, during that time that you are flagged on the map and everyone can track you down, once that timer ends, all the red dust you've collected perms. That's it. That's all that does. That is the only reward you get. There is zero incentive for PvP at all. There's just no point. Like, if anything, the best way to farm the PvP zones is to go into a fresh instance and farm the chests, or to just avoid players completely. Yeah, if you're level 100, you can go and farm the players that have, like, what, 2,000 to 3,000 red dust? Who cares? I can get 20,000 red dust every 6 minutes, and that's just from PvE. There's no point to those zones. There's no real way in this game to troll or grief. I've tried talking crap in chat. I've tried using bone necros to imprison people and maybe block their mounts from running away. It doesn't work. There's really no real way to grief your fellow bros. I've even went to those group events and done nothing. And even sat back and, mocked them in the chat like, work for me, wages, that's right, kill all the enemies, I get all the XP, and I do none of the work. And people either just, they don't reply, or they just ignore me, or, like, one guy got a little upset, but other than that, no one else in the entire, like, I played this game about 300 hours, and I've upset one person. That's not very good returns for someone like me. There's also no build diversity, and let me talk about build diversity real quick. So, there's one main goal in the game, and that is to clear dungeons as fast as possible, so that you can farm as much items as possible and level up your glyphs. Well, you can level up your glyphs over the weekend. It doesn't take a long time to level up your glyphs. Maybe 5 to 6 days if you're playing a few hours a day, casually, right? Once all your glyphs are level 21, nightmare dungeons become pretty useless. And the reason why is that doing higher tier nightmare dungeons gets you, there's no reason to do them. There is no reason other than bragging rights, or testing your own abilities and whatnot, or, the confines of the restrictions of the game. There is no reason to do anything above 3 levels of your character level. Like, if you're leveling up, 3 levels above your character is optimal. Anything above that is just showboating or tryharding, and you don't get any extra bonus, right? Whereas, running Uber Lilith, there's very specific builds that you will switch to run Uber Lilith efficiently, but you don't get anything for doing Uber Lilith. You get a skin, who cares? It's not even a good skin, and you get a few drops. Guess what? You can farm more drops in dungeons, and once you reach 100, and you have all your glyphs maxed out, there's no reason to even run nightmare dungeons anymore. There's 0 point. There's absolutely no reason to do any of that stuff. So as far as build diversity goes, you pick the build that levels you up the fastest by clearing the dungeons as fast as possible, and then if you really want to showboat and do Uber Lilith, you do an Uber Lilith build, and if you want to go farm PvP zones, and again, there's no reason to farm the PvP zones, you pick Pulverize or Hammer of the Ancients, and then you're good to go. There's no other build diversity, and you can be like, well, I want to have fun and do a wacky build where 1,000,000 lightning balls float around me. Okay, if you want to have fun clearing the dungeon and be 4 times slower at it, be my guest. But that is not build diversity. You know what is build diversity? Having hundreds of different item combinations to choose from. Albion Online does this very well. Diablo 2 does this amazingly well. Do you know how many different builds there are in Diablo 2? It took me, I was playing Diablo 2 about 12 to 14 hours a day, every single day for 7 years. And it took 7 years to get through every single possible build in that game, legitimately on closedbattle.net, during the seasons or the ladder resets or whatever you want to call it. And they all had different ways, they all had different purposes that were useful. You had a Mephisto build, you had a Uber Diablo farming, you had Bale clearing, PvP builds that were trolls. Like, I could make a druid whose sole purpose was to sit at the very gates of town and then summon a bear that would one-shot anyone that it touches. while I'm in town. And that was a hilarious build. And yes, it takes, maybe a week or so of trading for high tier items to get the best possible build, but that was something fun to do. This game does not have that kind of build diversity. Path of Exile has build diversity through its crazy tech tree and its, unique items and sockets, and there's so many different builds you can do in Path of Exile. And yes, there usually is a few optimal builds, but there's at least like 10 optimal builds that are all about the same speed. So if you want to see lightning shoot across your screen, or fire, or skeletons, you are more than free to choose, one of those massive meta builds. And, that game also has specialized builds for Shaper and for, Labyrinth and a whole bunch of other builds. This game does not have any of that. Which I believe I already touched on this. There's no point to most of the content. There's no reason to run Uber Lilith. There's no reason to do there's no reason to run tier 100 nightmare sigils. There's zero incentive to do it. Who cares? There's no point, to run through the story multiple times. There's no point to do, I'm at the point, there's no point for me to show up for world bosses. They don't give me anything. I don't need anything that they drop. This only took 3 weeks and 200 hours to hit the level cap and get best in slot. And I don't mean perfect best in slot. I just mean, oh, my helmet has cooldown reduction and fury, blah, 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 right? And my weapons are 820 or whatever. When I look at a ranking website, it shows that my barbarian is the 324th most powerful barbarian. And I've been playing this casually between other games. That's kind of sad. Alright, also this game lacks socialization. There's nothing like a Baron's chat. There's nothing like the Albion Online English channel. I've complained about this in multiple videos, but I want you just leave your game running. Make sure you wiggle your character every once in a while so that it stays active. And I have a little bit of socialization here with a random guy asking me to clear Uber Lilith for him, which I'm filming, so I'm not going to do. But you go to the trade channels, just go to your local channels, and there's nothing. You can run this game I did this a few times now. Leave your game on 19 hours without logging out. All you're going to see in trade is a few people asking for capstone boosts and gold spam from gold selling sites. And maybe a few people that, disagree with that. I can try to start a conversation. Hey, chumps, is pineapple on pizza good or bad, right? And there we go. I just asked trade chat, and maybe someone will reply, but maybe not. Whereas every other video game ever in this space, Path of Exile's trade chat, like I said, World of Warcraft's Baron chat, or just local chat, whatever chat. People are constantly talking in these channels. It's a social game. This game has, no socialness at all. At least this guy replied, get the fuck out, that is a sin. No, it's not. Pineapple on pizza is great. Argue with me in the comments if you want. Speaking of socialness, there's no incentive to play with other people other than the XP boost you get. When you go to one of these world events, where a bunch of people are going to dogpile an area and kill monsters together, you generally want to be invited to their party so that you can get a teeny tiny little XP boost. But hey, once you're level 100, who gives a shit? Why do I need to be in their party? Who cares? There's no point. Other than the XP boost, there's no other social incentives. There's no reason. Other games, there's Group Finder, even World of Warcraft, the old, Frozen Throne, or not Frozen Throne, that's Warcraft 3. Wrath of the Lich King, there was a Group Finder. I had a reason to be geared out of the gourds, because I could go to Group Finder, and I could flex on everyone that I'm the best damn tank on the server, and that I can carry them through a dungeon, even if they suck. I could just sit there and be like, look at all my good gear, let me be generous and help you through this dungeon, right? And that was cool. That was a reason to level up and get all the best gear, is so that I could just go to Group Finder and be like, haha, look at me. In Diablo 2, you could be like, look at me, look at my character. I can one-shot Bale with one attack in an 8-player hell, run, a Bale run. Okay, we get to Bale, stab, it's dead, blah, all the loot drops, and everyone's like, oh, dude, did you just one-shot Bale? Oh my god, so cool, right? This game does not have any kind of interactions like that at all. I can be geared out the wazoo, and yes, a random player did invite me to do Uber Lilith, or to carry him through it, because I am level 100, and I guess he inspected my gear and saw that I'm more than capable. But other than that, that's just simply by standing in town, right? And look at town. Where is everybody? There's no one here. Okay, there's a guy, AFK, AFK, AFK. I can just type in local, Hey dudes, right? There's just no socialization, right? There's just there's just no one talks in this game, and I hate it so much. And another thing is ease of access for those that are socially inept. I don't want to join a Discord. I don't want to be a part of Reddit. I don't want to be already part of some gamer clan community to be able to experience this. And yes, this game has clans, whoop-de-doo, right? I've never seen anyone actually do the clan thing successfully. The first week there were clans clearing the world bosses pretty quick, and then that's it. That is the only time I've ever seen clans in this game play together. There's no reason for clans to play together. There's no point. There's just no reason for people to get together to do things. It feels like a single player game that's always online, and what's the freaking point, man? Also, there's no long-term goals with this game, you know? I played for 3 weeks, got to level 100, maxed out the glyphs, got best in slot. What else is there to do? What, get 10,000 of every crafting material? For what reason? I don't have a reason to do that. It's not like, most games like this, the incentive, the long-term goal is to get rich, which we talked about earlier. In Path of Exile, once you have that badass fucking build that clears the whole screen, and you can farm Shaper in all the high-tier dungeons, guess what? You go farm items so that you can get wealthy, and trade to other players. Well, you can't do that in Diablo 4 because as a barb, most of the stuff that drops is barbarian gear, and sometimes, yeah, there's like a crossbow or a staff, but it won't have sorceress or rogue mods on it. It'll just have generic mods on it. And none of those fit their class builds or whatever. There's no point for me to play my maxed out barbarian character and go farm for other characters. Like maybe, another thing too is when you have a really powerful build in Diablo 2 or Path of Exile, you can use that build to farm currency, and then you can buy your way into power on your alt characters. The same in World of Warcraft, you have a really good character that can solo certain dungeons or, mine really efficiently or sneak past all the elite mobs as a rogue and then, farm a certain thing. Diablo doesn't have any of that. As a Whirlwind Barbarian, I'm one of the fastest dungeon clearing builds in the game, besides Druids. Okay, Tornado Druids win. But other than that, like, I have no reason to continue playing this character. There is zero long-term incentive for me. If anything, the seasons are like, the new seasons coming out, they introduce new items. They allow you to, try out new builds, potentially, possibly. I don't have my hopes up. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't have my hopes up. But here's the thing. I don't want to have to play Barbarian every freaking league just to build some sort of niche Barbarian build, right? Like, the skills are already hella limited. Like other games, you can put more than 6 freaking skills at a time on your bar. All right, even Diablo 2 had this. Why are we going into, like, if Diablo 2 lets me use more than 6 abilities, why am I limited in the future? I should be able to use more abilities. I want an MMORPG where I have, like I'm a wizard, and I can cast 40 different spells. And you may be like, well, you don't need 40 spells. Yes, I do. I want to slow fall. I want to teleport. I want to float. I want to be able to, turn into a rocket and explode or something cool. Something fun, memorable, and exciting. Not just the same couple of spells that you spam over and over and over and over again. Let me make an ice wizard, a lightning wizard, an arcane wizard. Let me have all of those on my account. The game limits you to 10 characters? Are you fucking kidding? In Diablo 2, I had like 40 or 50 characters, all different builds, all maxed out, all with the best Gucci gear possible, and I would swap to them constantly because there was shit to do. If I wanted to troll a dueling game, I would hop on a character, a leap barbarian, and in Diablo 2, when you leaped in place, it would stun the entire freaking zone. Because the radius was far off screen, so I would just hop in place in a corner, and no one could move, and they would all complain in the chat, which fed my sadism, there you go, got the sadism, part checked off. This game doesn't have anything like that. It's boring as fuck. So seasons are basically just a copy of Path of Exile leagues. It's not like in Lost Ark, where your super Gucci mega character can play with everybody, and you could power level your friends through content if you have friends. I don't have any friends. But here's the thing with Path of Exile leagues, right? I played that game, I played Path of Exile for also about 7 years, and here's the thing. Every time there was a new league, they would introduce some pretty cool new uniques and items, which were the chase items, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to play the league and get those items, and then when that character goes to the normal league, or the Eternal Realm on Diablo 4, then I could make my dream build. But what happens is every league I was just like, well, I gotta play the new league, I gotta play the new league, I gotta play the new league. And then after a while you realize it's just the same freaking shit with new items. And not once in Path of Exile, over the entirety of 7 years, did I ever make a character not in a league. I don't know anybody that made characters not already in a league. And my non-league, like, all the currency would just spill over to where I was like, I had like hundreds of exalts and chaos orbs and all that kind of crap in the non-league, you know, characters, but I never bothered to play them because why would I play in the non-league? And I felt this way on the Diablo 2 remake also, because it's like that game had a very small player base, right? And so if you didn't play in the newest Diablo 2 Resurrected League, you were playing with nobody. Like, there was maybe like 4 game lobbies, and it was just gold spammers. It was really sad. So the way I see Diablo 4 is, your level 100 character, this character that I spent 3 weeks or 200 hours investing into, it dies on July 20th. It's dead. I'm never going to touch it again, probably, maybe. But at the same time, there's only 5 characters you can play with limited skill sets and no build diversity, so once you play 5 leagues, you're done. You're just fucking done. And you could probably power multiple characters to 100, get them best in slot in the same league, especially once you do it the first time and you know the game and you know all the quickest ways to do stuff. So I don't see this being a good thing for the game. Also, here's another thing too. Unlike Path of Exile or Diablo 2, where you can power through the game in a few hours or even a day if you know what you're doing, Diablo 4 is a way more grindy-esque game, but it's not nearly as grindy as games like World of Warcraft or Albion Online, of course. But repeating the story every single league is going to be nauseating. Leveling up is nauseating. And re-grinding all the renown is going to be a snooze fest. You are going to be so tired and so sick of doing it every league that I don't see people playing this long term. Because once you level that character 100 and you get the league-specific, the season-specific items, which is going to be like Corrupted Heart sockets or something coming July 20th, then what? Wait for the next season. Okay, next season. Cool. Now I can be a kick barb with the new corrupted sword that drops that's kind of unique and whatever. You get the point, right? What do you do with those characters once you're done? Like, on most of the, like, Path of Exile also lacked the PvP, but it had a lot of other crap you could do in the game. It had so much crap you can go do. You can go be a Delve Master. You can go be a Labyrinth Master. It didn't matter. Diablo 2... well, shoot, you could join, you could troll quest games, you could kill bail runs. I made a character specifically for just ganking bail runs, and I loved it. I loved every second of it, and I would continue to play that game to this day if it had an active player base. It doesn't, and unfortunately, I have to play games for my survival. But what do you guys think? Now, granted, in Diablo 2, Path of Exile, you had to trade with other players to reach your bested slot, which means you had to socialize. And in this game, you can look at it as a blessing or a curse because you actually don't. Now, here's the thing. My character has best in slot, even though, it's not perfect best in slot. Which means if I were to get all perfect gear, I would maybe do like 100,000 more damage on a crit. Maybe, if I'm lucky, right? But I already 1 to 2 shot everything worth currently doing in the game, and my character is so tanky that I can stand in the hardest hitting attacks on content worth doing and not die from it. So that means, dungeons 3 levels above my character, which I don't need to do anymore because I'm level 100 and all my glyphs are maxed out. There's no reason to do Nightmare Sigil dungeons at all for any reason whatsoever other than bragging rights, which means if I go run a regular dungeon, I cannot die, and everything dies instantly. So I've essentially completed the game. And so if I wanted to make this character even stronger, it's going to require items from the future leagues, the future seasons. But if I already one-shot everything and can't die, then there's no reason to even play those seasons. You get what I'm saying? There's no incentive for me to do Uber Lilith. There's no incentive for me to do tier 100 Nightmare Sigil dungeons. And let's say that at some point you get a build that can run tier 100 Nightmare Sigil dungeons, and you can one-tap Uber Lilith. And let's say those things in the game actually have rewards, real reasons to farm it. They're still arguing about the pineapple on pizza thing, and people just don't talk in this game, man. It's like that's it. There's me, there's one guy, and then another guy also disagreeing with pineapple on pizza. If I said that in any other game, like New World or Diablo 2, just an 8-player lobby, it would just be constant chit-chat. Hell, Albion Online, if I wasn't muted, I could say that, and it would just be like 40 different people just back and forth arguing about it, right? This game, though, where is everybody? You know, people read the chat. I have, even if I turn crossplay on or off, it doesn't matter. It's not a social game. It's like NPCs and robots are playing. I don't understand it. This is a game with 4 to 5 million purchases. Where's all the chit chat? I don't get it. But what I'm trying to get at here is there's, like, even if you make the perfect character with the best possible build, there's nothing to do in the game to use that build. There's just nothing to do and no reason to do it. Diablo 2, Path of Exile, and you do it so you can get currency and get rich. Coming back to the very first points of the video of why people play video games. Not just why I play video games, but why other people play video games in general, right? A lot of people, you know, they did the level 100 on hardcore so they can get their name on a stupid statue that'll be in a landfill in the next 20 years, you know? Maybe, maybe not, we'll see. But, point is, why the hell are we playing this game? This game does not have long-term potential. This game, are you even having fun playing it? Look, I have this level 100 character. I can go run a dungeon right now, and I could smash through it and kill everything and get all the looties. It's not fun, because there's no people interaction. It's not fun, because there's no reason for me to do it. It's not fun, because, well, what's the point? You know, it was fun when I was discovering and learning the game, I guess, a little bit. If I knew everything that I knew now about Diablo 4, would I still play it? And the answer is no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't have begged for it on my live streams here on YouTube, which, you know, because I'm poor, I have to beg for free games. But I don't see, like, I think a lot of people got bamboozled, and they don't realize it. And they're just playing it as kind of, like a cope at this point. They're just playing it because, well, the game was like $100 to some in some countries, and they're like, well, I might as well get my money's worth. Or, you know, they're playing it because there's nothing else to play, and there's plenty of stuff to play. I mean, just go check out Albion Online. It's free. It's everything Diablo has, but better. Especially the PvP aspect. I don't see how this game is any better than Albion Online at all. And lucky for you, I have 600 videos on my channel explaining how to play that game. And with that said, that's my review. What do you think? I don't think this game has a future. And, you know, like, do you remember Diablo 3? A lot of you guys probably played Diablo 3. How long did you I think that game had more build diversity than this one, but how long did y'all play that for? I didn't play it too long either. It got boring. There was no point to do stuff. I mean, it was... I don't know, guys. I feel like this... if this wasn't a Blizzard game, it wouldn't have been successful. That's just how I feel about it. And lately, Blizzard's been shit in the bed on everything they do. Anyway, this video's getting kind of long, so I'm going to end it here. With that said, make sure you're subscribed, because I'm still going to tear this game apart and show you all the best leveling builds and, you know, ways to play the game and stuff. And this little doggo right here, just like trying to sniff me and stuff. Bully the dogs. But with that said too, make sure you're subscribed, and on the right side of your screen is a video that you should absolutely click. And if you don't click it, then your car is going to get into an accident.